Come on, I'm going to say it like the old folk. You say, we trying to get all of our ducks in a row before we move. And then after we moved, the ducks was in a row, but nothing happened. See, it's better to move on God's timing with your ducks out of line than to think you know more than God. You talking about these men and how they don't go to church. Yeah, you go to church, but look at you. Always lacking, destitute, deprived, underprivileged. See, the truth got to be told. The truth got to be told. There are nations that people are in that they can really say about their country, it ain't set up for them at all. At all. But that don't mean God can't bless it. But there are nations in third world countries, it is not set up for them at all. You do not have that testimony. You live in America. You have opportunity. Come on, y'all, I'm talking right tonight. The only person holding you back is you. Is your slack hand. And man, there comes a time when a woman gets tired of struggling because your hands are slack. You have to be man. You got to seek God. You got to be leader. Prove yourself a man. Provide for this family. Show this family the way that we need to go. Show us our way up out of Egypt. Show us how to survive in this wilderness. Preach to us till we get to Canaan. Talk to us. Encourage us. Meet with us. Pray with us. Come on, that's the kind. I'm a strong leader. If you follow me, we gonna live in Canaan. We gonna dwell in God's promised land. Prove yourself a man. Parents, be careful when you raise your children right. And they're on the verge of being grown, but you won't loose them. You see a giving and doing for them and they got a slack hand. Be careful with that. Be careful with that. You didn't do right by your car. You're not going to get mine and tear mine up. You're not going to do that. I'm going to help you get a rental car. You didn't do right by your car. You can't get in my car. My car came from God. My car is a blessing. My car is used to a diligent hand being on the steering wheel. I don't want a slack hand on my steering wheel. Come on. But then, parents, you also got to know when your child ain't ready to be released. You got to know when your child ain't ready to be away from you yet. He who has a slack hand become poor. Folks say they don't want to be poor. But watch this. There's an alternative. I'm glad he gave us an alternative. Somebody shout, there is an alternative. He who has a slack hand become poor. Lord, I've been poor. Didn't like it. Didn't like it. Didn't like it always not having. Didn't like it. I ain't saying I've always been where I'm at now. Been on both sides of the fence. Been poor, have things. Which one you like better? Have things. It ain't hard. Had money, no money. Which one you like better? Money. It ain't hard. Had no car. Several cars. Which one better? Several. It ain't hard. He who has a slack hand become poor. But the hand of the diligent. But the hand of the diligent makes rich. We can say it like this: the hand of the diligent ends poverty. The hand of the diligent ends lacks. If you diligent, God ain't gonna let you keep lacking. He gonna send you somewhere. What did Peter say to God? Our taxes need paying. God know Peter was diligent. Go down to the river. The first fish you take up. Peter wasn't lazy. Jesus knew y'all follow me faithfully. 1 Samuel. Lord have mercy. Where did the time go? 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel. Lord have mercy. 1 Samuel 4. And see, you got a whole lot of folk in church. They are always caught, and they don't use it right. They're always in a place where they believing for a miracle. You can't live a life where I need a miracle. Go get a job. Work. Be faithful. You sit down, I'm just waiting on it to fall, Pastor. No, go put in 50 hours. Oh, Pastor, you don't have to work 40. I said go put in 50. Sometimes ain't nothing wrong with doing an extra 10. One thing I love working. To the day I die, I'm going to be working. Because I love movement. I love working. If a man don't work, he don't eat. He shouldn't eat if he don't work. I work. I love putting my hands to doing stuff. Now, the older I get, it takes me longer. I'll give you that. I don't get as much done. But I love working. Sometimes Donald tell me it's too hot for you to get out there today. I love it. I got to get out here. Take me a little cooler with me now. I got to get out here. I love working. Something wrong when you don't like working. Something wrong with you. That's the reason some sinners do better than some saints. Them sinners diligent. Them sinners putting time in. They working. And you running around here, I'm believing for a miracle. You wouldn't need all the miracle if you be diligent with the gifts and the talents that God gave you. Some of you could do real good, but you lazy. A person will take your gifts and your talents. I'm looking at some of y'all now. I'll take your talents. If I could get you to work and tell you to give me 20% of what you make, and I'm going to be living good. That's how gifted you are. That's how talented you are. But your hands are slack. Folk give you work and you don't get it done. Give you something to do and it takes you months to do what should have took you 2 weeks. And you wonder like, why I don't have. Your hands are slack. Folk give you ideas that came from God and you don't stick with it. Why? Your hands are slack. Let me get this and then I'm going to close. 1 Samuel 4. Because you got to see that this is just so powerful. Improve yourself a man. Notice what Israel enemies knew. In 1 Samuel 4. And let's pick it up at verse 9. And I'm going to have to let it go. Be strong. This is what the Philistines were saying to them. Said when Israel was shouting in their camp so loud that it shook the earth, ready to go to war. And the people of the Philistines saw it, fearing like, oh man, we can't beat them. Those are the folk that those gods are delivering them people and we can't beat them. But then somebody said this. Be strong and conduct yourselves like men. Like who? Men. Like who? Men. See, babies cry. Babies cry when it look bad. See, men don't cry. Men roll up their sleeves and know we got to fight. If we want the victory, we got to fight for it. Conduct yourself like who? Men. Not like boys. Like mature men, you Philistines. That you do not become servants of the Hebrews as they have been to do. Conduct yourself like men and what? And what? And what? Somebody shout, you got to fight. Men fight. Mature folk fight. We don't lay down. We don't give up. We fight. and we fight like men. Mother, if your children are primarily dependent on you because there is no man in the house, you got to fight. You got to fight so those children will have. You got to fight so they'll have more than what you had. Conduct yourself like men and fight. So the Philistine fought. And Israel was what? So the Philistine fought. And Israel was what? Defeated. And every man fled to his tent. There was a very great slaughter. And there fell of Israel 30,000 foot. So, but notice the mindset of the Philistine. If we don't fight, Israel gonna come in here, make us slaves like they were slaves. See, what is the scripture saying? We have to prove ourselves as men not to go back into bondage. There are times things want to pull you back into bondage, but the only way you're not going back into bondage is that you got to fight. You got to prove yourself a man. You got to prove yourself mature. And so I'm not going back to that. I'm going to stand here and trust God.